After just 160 days of operation, the controversial Wellcamp quarantine facility in Toowoomba will be mothballed by the Palaszczuk government. Brisbane Bureau Chief Adam Walters has the details.
It's an eye-watering sum of money. Surely it's got to be in the running for one of the greatest white elephants in Queensland's history. A staggering $198.5 million alone was spent on capital and leasing costs. A catering and security totalled $9 million. And all of that before there was a $14.3 million spend on quarantine management. Now, the facility, here's the crunch, has hosted a grand total of 730 people since January. That's about 2 plane loads and translates to a cost per person of $320,000, about 100 times more expensive than the cost of a hotel stay for the same duration. Now, Wellcamp was announced by Palaszczuk late last year when she was riding high and boasting of her government's record in protecting Queenslanders from COVID. The announcement blindsided the federal government. When questioned whether she had told the then Prime Minister Scott Morrison about her plans for the facility and whether he knew about them, she said he does now, quite infamously. But today she was nowhere to be seen, as it was left to her deputy, Stephen Miles, to tell the Queensland Budget Estimates Committee of the news that the operations at Wellcamp would be suspended.
Queensland's Chief Health Officer and Queensland Health have advised the Queensland Government there is no longer a public health requirement for dedicated government-provided quarantine and isolation facilities. I understand this is consistent with the health advice provided in other jurisdictions. The state government has accepted updated advice from the Chief Health Officer and advised the Australian government we will not require use of its facility nearing completion at Pinkenba.
The Queensland opposition says that this revelation is in spite of months of secrecy around the funding for Wellcamp, which was justified because of the commercial and confidence provisions tied up to the contracts relating to the facility. And the opposition says that the government's hand has been forced by an announcement from the Queensland Auditor-General of his own investigation into how so much taxpayer funding was used on the facility at a time when Queensland is struggling with overcrowded hospitals and homelessness.